It all started online, not in secret, but on Telegram, the digital town square for Russia's most fervent pro-war bloggers. These aren't lifestyle influencers, they're embedded with troops, shaping the war's narrative for millions. In December 2025, their anger wasn't at Ukraine or NATO, but at the Kremlin itself. The spark, the Russian government's triumphant but false announcement of capturing Kupyansk. The bloggers, with real sources on the ground, knew it was a lie. Russian troops hadn't taken the city. Their feeds erupted, accusing generals of fabricating victories and sending soldiers to die for propaganda. For the first time, they publicly declared the Kremlin's military leadership was out of touch and dishonest. These bloggers, once the war's loudest cheerleaders, now demanded accountability and investigations at the highest levels. Their millions of followers trusted them for the truth, so their outrage sent shockwaves through Russia's information space. The bloggers called for generals to be named and shamed, painting a picture of a leadership lost in fantasy. This wasn't about one city, it was about systemic rot and a war effort built on lies. If the president makes decisions based on fiction, they warned, the entire war is doomed. In a single day, Russia's most loyal voices became its fiercest critics, all because of a lie about a city never taken. How does a leader like Putin end up celebrating a victory that never happened? He's trapped in a system where only good news survives. Generals, fearing for their careers, invent successes. Putin, hearing only victories, makes decisions based on fantasy. The Kupyansk scandal was the inevitable result, a public exposure of institutionalized lying. Kupyansk wasn't just any city, it was a strategic hub, and its recapture was a fabricated turning point. The regime underestimated the new media landscape, where even pro-war bloggers became fact-checkers. This feedback loop of falsehoods reveals a deep weakness. A leader afraid of the truth can't adapt to reality. While Ukraine's leaders face facts, Russia's leadership is stuck in a Soviet-era mindset, winning the briefing, not the war. The Kupyansk debacle laid bare the cost of this dysfunction, paid in blood by ordinary Russians. The Kremlin announced Kupyansk's liberation with full fanfare. State media, military experts, and Putin himself all played their parts. In a televised meeting, Putin congratulated his generals, who delivered confident, rehearsed reports of victory. The long table between them symbolized Putin's isolation, as generals spun tales far from the battlefield's reality. This was political theater, not military truth. The regime assumed it could control the narrative, as in the past. But the war in Ukraine is documented in real time. Every claim can be instantly debunked online. The general's lie wasn't just a misstatement, it was a demonstrably false claim in a world saturated with evidence. The Kremlin tried to sell a phantom victory, but the truth was only a click away. The old tools of propaganda couldn't keep up with the speed of modern information. The gap between the official story and reality had never been more obvious. The regime's confidence in its narrative was shattered by the facts on the ground. The world, and Russians themselves, could see the truth for themselves. With his credibility tied to Kupyansk, Putin doubled down, building a televised fantasy around a victory that never happened. He spoke of heroic soldiers and promised to rebuild the city, while state media amplified the illusion. As doubt spread, Putin made a bizarre move, inviting international journalists to visit Kupyansk, knowing it was still under Ukrainian control. It was a bluff. No journalist could safely enter, but the gesture projected confidence. Simultaneously, the Kremlin threatened dissent, warning that questioning the official story was a crime. The message to bloggers: report the victory, or face consequences. This was classic Kremlin strategy: project openness, enforce control. The spectacle was aimed at Russians, not the West, to maintain morale and justify the war's cost. But the cracks were showing. The performance couldn't mask reality forever. The more Putin insisted on his version, the more obvious the deception became. Reality was about to break through the screen. While Putin staged his war from afar, Zelensky drove to the real Kupyansk, still under Ukrainian control. The contrast was devastating. Putin talked about the city, Zelensky walked its streets. Photos showed Zelensky with soldiers in the city square. No green screens, just battered buildings and real people. He handed out medals, listened to frontline reports, and stood among his troops. No heavy security, no distance, just a leader sharing the risks. This simple act dismantled Russia's propaganda more effectively than any press release. A photograph of Zelensky in Kupyansk was irrefutable proof. His visit wasn't just symbolic, it was a strategic blow to the Kremlin's narrative. It highlighted the gulf between the two leaders. Putin, isolated and scripted. Zelensky, present and real. The message to Ukrainians, your leader is with you. The message to the world, Ukraine's claims are reality. For Russians, it was a painful revelation. Their government had lied on a monumental scale. Zelensky's presence was a silent, devastating rebuttal to the Kremlin's fiction. When Zelensky's Kupyansk photos hit the internet, Russian state media fell silent, quickly pivoting to other topics. The city, once the centerpiece of their news, vanished from broadcasts. But the mill bloggers didn't forget. For them, Zelensky's visit was the ultimate humiliation. Their channels exploded with anger, reposting photos and mocking the general's lies. The tone shifted from outrage to disgust. They felt betrayed by their own leadership. A civil war erupted within Russia's pro-war camp state propaganda versus furious grassroots bloggers. The bloggers argued that incompetence and dishonesty at the top were dooming the war effort. They saw themselves as true patriots, demanding honesty to save Russia from its The Kremlin was trapped. Punishing the bloggers risked alienating its base, but admitting the lie was unthinkable, so they did nothing, letting the anger fester online. The Kupyansk scandal exposed not just a lie, but a growing rift between state fantasy and the reality experienced by Russia's most loyal supporters. The regime's information monopoly was broken from within. The truth had found its way out. The Kupyansk blunder is a parable for modern leadership built on propaganda. When loyalty trumps competence and good news replaces truth, reality eventually breaks through. Putin's regime, obsessed with controlling the story, lost its grip on facts. Propaganda became a poison, rotting decision-making from the inside. The contrast with Zelensky was stark. One leader demanded reality conform to his narrative, the other used truth as his weapon. The affair proved that in the age of social media, even loyalists can become fact-checkers. Russian mill bloggers did more to expose the lie than any foreign outlet. Truth is now decentralized, bubbling up from unexpected places. The lesson: you can stage a grand play, but reality is not a passive audience. A single photograph can collapse an empire of lies. In the end, reality always gets the last word.